Where do you start? Birth? Knock at the door. Crime? Wrong place, wrong time. How does it start?
It starts from a sentence. And that's where you start.
At the time, you don't realise the emotional strain it is on you as a person, as a family. So actually standing back and watching you play it is like, oh my God, actually, yeah, that was like that for me. But at the time, you're like trying to get through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a very, so to step away from it and see somebody else do it is a bit weird. But it was very, you know, and I think for me, I just, I said to you there were days I just couldn't get out of bed. I think one of you said it actually, you know, but there were days and I thought I just don't want to get up this morning, I just don't want to, but you have to, because if I'm not doing it, there's nobody else doing it, you know. And I think for me as well is that when I joined Sussex Prisoners and I met people, I didn't need to say how I felt. We could share our stories about how they ended up there, and we don't talk about fences because it's not about that for me. But actually to be in a room with people who I didn't need to explain certain things to just was like such a weight off of my mind, do you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing.
And she got on the phone. She got on the phone and she rang the police station and they said,
"We're not going to tell you anything. She's over 18.
But I'm her mother.
But I'm his mother.
But he's my boyfriend.
and they said,
We're not going to tell you anything. They're over 18.
and that was it. Radio silence.
I don't remember much of what happened after that. All I remember were the words of a man. He stood up and with a solemn face called,
Guilty.
I remember screaming, but I don't remember the sound.
Guilty.
They said guilty. And my life froze.
My life has changed forever. It's like I'm left behind in the real world and he's somewhere hidden. He's taken away to be punished for a crime which I know he didn't commit.
First thing we did, we got this wash bag and we put like Lynx shampoo, Lynx deodorant, all of that.
and then you find out that you're not allowed any of that, but no one told us.
I mean, when I look back now, I laugh because I think, how naive were you? It was just awful. I just didn't know anything. I'm not a control freak, but I didn't understand any of it.
You get 3 visits a month.
One has to be in the week.
And 2 can be at weekends. And what?
There's different rules.
There's different rules.
You either have to phone up to arrange a visit,
Or you can do it online, but if you do it online...
you have to wait about 48 hours after you put it all in for it to come back and say, oh yes, there's a space.
Oh yeah, but if there isn't a space, you have to start again.
And there's different rules. Some places say you can have 3 visitors and also 3 children.
And some places say children are those under the age of 16, and some say those under the age of 12.
But nobody told us anything.
No one told us anything. We had no information.
There are so many different rules and regulations.
We didn't know you couldn't bring cash in, notes in.
Nobody told me. I was running around trying to find coins. The thing is, there's no list anywhere on the internet.
No information.
It's different everywhere.
So you can't even really do a list.
At this prison, you can wear black and navy, but no hoodie.
What you can have here, you can't have there. What you can wear there, you can't wear here.
Black and blue, blue and grey, black and navy.
Couple of shirts, 3 pairs of shorts, 7 tops, 7 pairs of pants and socks.
But there is no list anywhere on the internet, so no one can really prepare.
And you've got to buy it out of a catalogue, then post it in.
And I said, why would I buy it out of a catalogue when it's triple the price?
And you can't take in shower gels, deodorants, any of that.
Because of the risk of taking in drugs. I mean, I don't even know how to crush an aspirin, so I don't know how I would have ever got drugs in Lynx, but there you go. You were only 16 years old, for God's sake, when you were charged. 16 years old and you were sentenced to 10 years.
It's what you don't see. It's what you don't see. It's what you don't see that happens in prisons.
I know.
How we're treated.
How you're taken from us, from your families.
Just don't talk about it.
It's evil. Evil what it does, the system, the whole system.
All of it.
From getting arrested to going to court, the prisons, the way the staff... And all I want at the end of the day is I just want to make sure you're all right. I just want to want you home.
It's what you don't see, Mum. It's what you don't see.
It's what I don't see.
But it's what you imagine.
And you do imagine.
You imagine.
You wonder.
You think.
Going over and over it in your head.
Everything that can go wrong.
Don't worry, Mum.
Of course I worry. I worry you might
Have a heart attack, die in the night, I might.
Collapse, not eat, not speak, not be understood, I might.
Have a fit, lose my rag, get attacked into a fight, I might.
Get out on the wrong side of bed.
Get on the wrong side of someone.
Fall over.
Fall apart.
Think I don't love you?
You might think I don't love you.
You might think I don't love you.
It broke me. Completely broke me. Completely broke me. I mean, my son, I haven't actually seen him now for 17 months.
And then, yeah, it's horrific. Obviously, some days you cope and you have to be the bigger person, but other days you just want to fall asleep and wake up and they come home.
Your son?
Your daughter
Your love.
comes home. And it's all been a dream.
And I've cried buckets of tears. But I've never lost a pound. Not a bloody pound. So I don't care what they say about stress, it's bollocks. You never lose a bloody pound.
So that's another, 10 months. 10 months we've got to go through this. It's a mess, isn't it? It's a mess.
So yeah, he was 16 and he's now 22. So he's now a man that I haven't seen him grow into. He's a man now. And I think to take away, well, I've always been a single parent, but to take away, I don't even feel like a mum.
I'm not the same mum I was. And I'm never going to be that same mum again. We're never going to get back the years that are lost.
And you do the sentence with them. They're not the only one in there doing it. And it absolutely destroys you emotionally, physically, mentally, and I still suffer daily, nights, 24/7, and now he's become a person that doesn't show no emotion.
And I keep asking myself, what did we do wrong? When did it all go wrong? All of those things for it to come to this.
To this.
To this.
Man, a riot in H&P Birmingham.
Birmingham Prison has had a long and troubled history. It was the scene of a riot in 2016, which left 4 wings badly damaged. 500 offenders were moved out after the worst prison disturbances for decades. Since then, inspectors say conditions have deteriorated to the point of crisis. It's forced the government to take over the running of Birmingham from the private firm B4S.
I heard about this. There was this young lad. He got done for murder. He was only about 15 or 16. I don't know any other details because, well, details, sometimes they're just not important to me. And he was done, this lad, he was done. And after 15 years, he was allowed out, right? So this young boy, he'd grown up surrounded, parented by men and criminals. And at 31, he came out with nothing, with no skills, no nothing. So what kind of... Was he going to come back just like that? Honestly, what are we teaching these boys, I just think it's so awful. I just think... And I'm not against punishment. But if that punishment means eating crap, sitting in a cell 23 hours a day, only being allowed to shower 3 times, twice a week, I wouldn't want that. I just don't think. And I think if anybody believes that depriving people of decent food and an education and hygiene and cleanliness and all of that, if someone, I think it says something about them, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
Yeah. There's a communal phone and everyone wants to use it.
You're only allowed to talk for 10 minutes a day, and then it goes boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop. It gives you a 5-second warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And then it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And that's it.
Which is really horrible. It's actually really dehumanising, especially if you're talking about something emotional and then suddenly...
Boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop.
Goodbye.
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 And sometimes you can't even talk.
There's guards listening.
So we had to make up, like, systems because there would be, like...
A line of people waiting, overhearing.
I was like, grunt twice for yes.
And also, because it's one phone, you might not even get the time slot you want.
So I might be waiting for, like, an hour afterwards.
And then you're worrying for that entire time.
Or it might not happen at all, and you don't know why.
Or sometimes we get a call from them.
We dread getting a call from them. So we've had to choose who to tell and who not to tell, which has been a bit difficult. Sort of not wanting to share that with certain family members. We was the first one ever in our family to go to prison, even for this sort of minor offence, so you're literally on your own.
Because some people are really judgmental, but other people are incredibly supportive and understanding.
No one at work knows, well, apart from 2 people, but we don't discuss it. They just every now and again say, "How's your daughter?" And I say, "Oh, you know, she's okay." But the stigma and the shame, I don't talk about it.
Open up!
Is that the police? Knock on your door, waking you up in the middle of the night.
Coming into your house, searching while the children walk in the middle of the night.
Taking away our computers, freezers, laptops, searching while neighbours' heads appear over the gates.
There's certain members of the family that I haven't shared my story with, and that's been difficult. It's like some of them are older and we just think, well, what's it matter? They don't need to know. I mean, the extended family, and we don't want our son to be defined by this, so we're just kind of careful who we speak to.
You know, I've never felt an ounce of shame or anything like that, because I knew that basically he was innocent, but it's really hard to prove because everything was decided before anything happened. It was a done deal.
You know, if anyone asks me, "Where does your daughter live?" I say, "She lives in Guildford." They think she's mega rich because she lives in Guildford. Or Surrey, she lives in Surrey. That's it, she lives in Surrey. They think she must be raking it in. I tell my daughter that she's living on a plot of land that's worth about £18 million. So she's very lucky. All around there's millionaires' houses.
And then one day I went up, it was in March, and I took 2 of his friends with me. And he was so ill. So ill. And I sat across the table from him, and he said,
Mum, I can't go on. I know how to kill myself.
I was hysterical. I came out, I had the 2 of his friends with me, and I drove the wrong way up the M1. They were in such a state as me. One of them started crying, and I drove the wrong way up the M1, but not against the traffic, but, but yeah. I was in such a state. And nobody cares about us. We're invisible.
And there's nobody to talk to. I mean, you can go up to the desk and say something and they look right through you.
And it doesn't matter how nice they are. I'm a medical secretary working for the NHS. I'm not a criminal. I just got a daughter who's a pain.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? To be with people who accept you, who don't judge you, people who know what you're going through, who understand, yeah. Yeah, that's what matters. Say to some people, don't sit there high and mighty, because it could end up with any one of your children,
Your daughter.
your son, your partner, could end up in prison at any time. Do you know what I mean? I think everything has been dragged into the 21st century, apart from the justice system.
I want to be involved as much as possible. I think it sort of helps. I wouldn't say come to terms with, but when you sit there in silence...
You see, when you sit there in silence...
When you sit there in silence, you're invisible.
And you feel like you're the only one living it.
But if you're talking about it...
Like, with people...
I suppose it sort of helps heal.
Because when I go to prison, and I walk out...
I always say to one of the parents or visitors...
We're doing the time with them. And we are. We're just doing it in a different way.
And I don't have to address it very often. I don't, think about it all the time.
I just live it.
But finding the words to talk about it.
Well, that's something.
Yeah. Letter by letter, sentence by sentence, talking about it.
Yes, that's something.
It's a start.
Amy and I, we go to coffee mornings run by Sussex Prisoners. There's a few of us, and that sort of thing. But I don't know, I can think of quite a few of the women that we know that wouldn't want to put themselves out there, do you know what I mean? And we are stigmatised, do you know what I mean? People will decide. I mean, I went to a meeting at Lewes Prison, me and Sam was there, and I was told, one of the governors there, not the governor, I mean, I'm going back a few years now, I mean, I think a lot of the rubbish has gone out of Lewes, if I'm honest now, but I was told it starts at home. Well, I can assure you, I've got 3 other children, and my son, it was just a matter of, it was wrong place, wrong time, do you know what I mean, sort of thing. So they want to blame us, and a lot of people don't want to stand up. I've got a job, I had to go and find out if I could keep my job, do you know what I mean? So a lot of people don't want to put themselves out there. Now, it's bollocks and I don't care, because I've got the confidence now to say what he did doesn't reflect on me. There's not a lot of, I don't mean that, I think probably Amy's the same, but we know a lot of women who won't do that, they will not do that. And a lot of people, and also, is Good Morning Britain really interested in us? No, they want to tell everyone that Gary Glitter's had his COVID jab, and the rest of the world doesn't. I mean, if I'm honest, that is what it is. I'm sorry, but that is what it is, because
everybody wants to be on the band. I know some amazing things about prison. A few years ago, Lewis made all the poppies. Do any of you know that? I know that in some prisons that they donate once a month off their canteen sheets to food banks. You read that anywhere? No, because nobody's interested. I know that sounds like I'm, you know, sometimes I feel like chaining myself outside number 10, but, you know.
Sussex Prisoners Families is really tiny and we just don't really have a budget for campaigning. Obviously, we've done quite well with this actually, having said that, but normally we haven't got much time to, you know, sort of do any campaigning work. There are organisations that do. The Prison Reform Trust does campaigning work, and I have to say I did work for them for about 2 years trying to raise awareness of what it was like, you know, the real stories behind the criminal justice system, and it was really unsuccessful. It's actually very difficult to get these stories out, and I think a lot of the time we're quite unimaginative as well. I've written loads and loads of boring reports in my time that nobody's read, and I'm trying to explain what I do for a living, and it just doesn't sound quite right. But something like this, it just really tells so many stories, doesn't it? In a really sort of succinct, emotional, powerful way. So there may be more plays we need to do.